Have you ever met someone who immediately wanted to tell you their life story? They wanted to tell you what they've been through, who did what to them, the type of trauma that they've experienced, who they're resentful towards, why life is not playing fair with them, and the story goes on. And to be fair, in most cases, some of those people genuinely need someone to offset some of that energy towards and release it and need a trusting and a trustworthy ear. And I understand that. However, I've noticed that those same people repeatedly have stories to tell, but they never come up with a solution. So I want to charge you with releasing the story and coming up with a solution this time, this year, this moment in your life. Now, why do I say that? I don't want to discredit the fact that what we've been through, how we've grown up, the experiences that shaped us are somehow not valuable. They're all valuable. They mean something. They contribute to the person that we are or that we've become. So that is to be respected, honored, and sometimes even celebrated. But it becomes a hindrance when we continuously tell a story but don't move towards the purpose of finding a solution. So let me just give you an example. If you've ever experienced someone or you yourself have noticed patterns where you are quick to talk about what you've been through in life and how difficult and hard it was, who did what to you. If a relationship ended, you immediately blamed the other person. If you released yourself from a job or a specific position, your innate response is to blame the institution or blame where you worked. If there's some issues with family, the first response is to blame everyone in the family. Now, I'm not saying that those other parties are not involved or not even at fault for that matter. But what I am saying is there is a point in your life where you have to take full and total and complete responsibility for the decisions that you are making and the experiences that are coming to you in this world, right? In this 5D space. And so when you notice that pattern coming up of putting the blame on someone else or highlighting everything that you've been through, the story, repeatedly telling the story, repeatedly stating the story, who was involved, what happened, but then you don't walk towards a solution, that's when it becomes a detriment to your personal growth and your personal development and your mental and spiritual expansion. Because there is a point where we have and we do invite people to join us on this walk of life. We apply to certain positions because we want to experience what that setting or what that job would be, or that career, or that sport that we're involved in, or the extracurricular activity, or that particular restaurant, or the friend group, and then, there are certain things that you can't necessarily control, like the family that you're born into. But for the most part, if we take a position of power, we realize that we have elected to choose to participate in certain things. So for instance, for myself, I have a master's degree in education. I also have a bachelor's degree in communications. Well, I made those decisions, right? Like I made that decision to say, hey, I want to pursue this or I want to pursue that. So therefore, by default, I may choose careers that are specific to that particular vocation. And I mention that because when you find yourself telling stories, or you meet people that are oftentimes telling stories and telling the blame game and pointing the finger at other people and what life has done to them rather than for them, it's almost as if they're not an active participant. And you're always an active participant. Now, I want to preface this by also mentioning, there are systems in place. There are systems in place that are unfair. There are systems in place that are racist. There are systems in place that are just don't necessarily play the position of supporting the role of expansion within one's life. And that's the role that they've chosen to play. But despite that, I want you to pay attention to the system that you're operating, which is your mind, your body, your spirit, and what it is that you are calling towards you. So we'll get into a whole nother video about thoughts and what we project and what we're experiencing in life. And once you realize that the inner is genuinely showing you what the outer is, or the outer is revealing what's happening on the inner, you begin to want to recalibrate in a different way and experience life in a different way. So I want to charge you with releasing the story and start moving towards the solution. If you are experiencing a life that is subpar, that doesn't feel good, that doesn't uplift you, that doesn't inspire you, that doesn't say, I feel good about waking up today and I'm just so excited about experiencing this new thing or figuring this thing out. And I'm not talking about easy breezy days, right? Although you can experience that too, but we know that there's duality in life, and you're going to experience is both, your moments of defeat and your moments where you are feeling like a conqueror, feeling like you can go after everything that you want. And so there is a sweet balance between it. But I want us to start moving towards the solutions and not so much the stories. The stories can keep you hostage. The stories can keep you in a place of bondage. And although it is something that we can learn from, like our experiences are something that we can learn from, it should not be something that ties us to a specific identity and tells us this is where we're supposed to be and this is how it's supposed to go. And every person that you meet, you now repeat that story to. So again, being mindful about what you speak with your tongue, right? Life and death is in the power of the tongue. And so when you continue to regurgitate that experience over and over, it's almost like you're giving the universe permission to say, oh, they seem to want more of it. So let's just continue to bring them the experience that they talk about and continue to give energy towards. And so just be mindful of what story you are telling, what story you are telling about yourself, your life experiences, the things that you've been through. I'm not saying don't process and feel emotions. I'm not saying to not call things out for what they truly are, but I'm saying that I played a role in some of the things that I've experienced, and I have to take full responsibility and full ownership of that. Now, that doesn't mean that I might have shown up a way that was to the best of my ability, and the other party might have shown up to what they thought was the best of their ability. And so that's where that clashes, because everyone has a story to tell, because everybody feels like they're showing up a specific way. Now, you just know intuitively how you feel about that. So you know what experience brings you joy. You know what brings you a sense of contentment and satisfaction and acceptance. And then you know the ones that are not really aligned with you and don't sit too well with your spirit. So you get to make that decision and you get to decide that. But I've participated in relationships and friendships and places that I've worked that I knew had an expiration date, and it probably expired way before I said, I'm out of here. But again, sometimes you just need that refinement and that experience to awaken you and to open your eyes to a new experience. And so again, release the story that you repeatedly tell yourself and that you're willing to just completely share and divulge to others. And instead, take a moment to center, silence, regroup, and be clear about the words that are coming out your mouth. And begin to do that internal work of asking, how have I played a role in this? How have I participated in inviting this experience into my life? What can I do differently? And what do I want as a solution? What am I calling forth now? How can I do something different? How can I do something better? And only you can decide what that better is. Only you can decide what the fulfillment of your dreams and your goals and your wishes are. You are in the passenger and the driver's seat, right? Mainly in the driver's seat, but you're experiencing this part of life, and it's okay to say, wait a second. All right, that was my bad. Let me do some introspective work right now. And so that's what I'm charging you and calling you forth to do. So let's make an effort to continuously pay attention to the stories that we're telling and lean more towards the solutions. Again, this is not to be passive and to not feel and to not confront and to not ask the necessary questions that would help us process and move forward to a better place. But it is necessary if we're going to expand and grow and arrive to the place of not only like self-growth and self-development, but like a spiritual maturity of recognizing that, oh, I play a role in this as well. I'm not just, sitting in the passenger seat accepting what life is thrown at me. Get in the game as well. Pay attention to what your body is telling you. Pay attention to what your thoughts are saying to you, what they're speaking to you. Pay attention to the energy that you align with and the things that you attract. And ask those questions, because it's in the asking that you begin to get answers and clues and a settlement within your spirit where you begin to pivot and move in accordance to what you're aligned with. So we're going to release the stories and we're going to move towards the solutions. Thank you for watching. Thank you for tuning in. I hope this video encouraged you, gave you some insight or perspective. And if you need any resources, check the description below. Thank you for tuning in.